Hello to the world and to the kingdom citizens. I greet you in the precious holy name of Yeshua Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who said in his word, John 8:32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Hi, I'm Dr. John Curry, ambassador and Pan-African, and welcome to the Embassy of the Kingdom of Heaven on Earth. If you want to follow this podcast, please subscribe to JC Global Embassy TV 1. Ring the bell and hit the thumbs up button. Today's message is entitled, Anger, the Volcano of the Soul. Anger, the Volcano of the Soul. We're going to move right into this because I think it's necessary. We want you to first ask yourself and want you to understand that selfishness is the root cause of most inappropriate anger. So when a person is very selfish, that's going to create anger. It is the root cause of most inappropriate anger. The more selfish a person is, the angrier he will be much of the time. Let me say that again. The more selfish a person is, the angrier he will be much of the time. You see, angry people have serious problems with depression. At times, they can be perfectionists. They hold grudges and move into depression. They have suspiciousness and at times paranoid traits. These are people that are very selfish, and at the same time, they have all of these grudges, these depression, suspiciousness, and they move into paranoid traits. So again, as I said earlier, selfishness is the root cause of most inappropriate anger. You see, if you are a selfish perfectionist and a suspicious person, you have an anger problem. Let me say that again, just so you understand. If you are a selfish perfectionist and a suspicious person, you have an anger problem. Now, selfishness simply says you see life through yourself first, not through others. The word anger itself means fury. It means hostility. It means rage. The Greek word for anger is pronounced orizo, O-R-G-I-Z-O, orizo, which means make angry or quick-tempered. Now, in my study as a certified behavioral therapist, I've come to find out that no one really can make you angry. Anger is a choice. In the book of Genesis 4:6, it talks about, the Bible does not say why God rejected Cain's offering. It doesn't say why he rejected his offering, but we can glean from it maybe perhaps some other things. Maybe Cain's attitude was bad. Perhaps his offering was not God's standards. You know how sometimes we just do anything. We don't really make a standard for it. We just throw some at folks and hope that they accept it. So maybe it wasn't to God's standards. Perhaps he was angry while making the offering. It's kind of like having your kids to wash the dishes, and while they're washing the dishes, they're mad so water's all on the floor. They're really not doing a good job. So was Cain angry with God because God did not accept his offering? Again, that's in Genesis 4:6. So we have to evaluate ourselves. Are we doing things angrily? Are we loving people with an angry heart? Are we really focusing on ourselves? It's really not about the person. It's really about you, because maybe you didn't get what you thought you should have gotten. So therefore, you're angry and you begin to move with these selfish ways. One thing that I love about God always evaluates motive and quality and attitude before he promotes. Let me say it again. God always evaluates motive. Why do you want it? Quality. What are you giving me? And your attitudes. How are you approaching me before he promotes? So if you're coming to God and you're mad because everybody else is being promoted, everybody else is being blessed, everybody else is getting what they want, and it's been now 10 years for you, and you have not been able to get to where you want to go, you may be in the church every Sunday, every Wednesday, or every time the door is open. You up in the church angry and mad at others because of what God is doing for them and not for you. Because see, if God promotes you, if God bless you while you're angry, moving in the wrong attitude, that would simply mean that God would be enabling you to stay the way you are. So let us consider 7 things about anger. Number 1, uncontrolled anger will lead to sin. You heard what I said. Uncontrolled anger will lead to sin. Cain's uncontrolled anger caused him to murder his brother. His uncontrolled anger caused him to murder his brother. That's Genesis 4, verses 6 through 8. Anger is not a sin, but can lead to sin. Let me say it again. Anger is not a sin, but can lead to sin. The Bible tells us, be angry, but sin not. See, we have been given an opportunity to be angry, but sin not. You can find that in Ephesians 4, 26 through 27. In other words, anger becomes your release valve. Even though it's the volcano of the soul, it becomes a release valve. So you can get all that pain out, but you don't have to sin. Number 2, anger is often the result of bad decision. Have you ever made a bad decision and you got mad at yourself because you knew while making it was a dumb decision, but you made it anyway? So many times anger is a result of bad decision. Esau became angry at himself and at his brother for making a bad decision while being hungry. You see, he wanted the stew, he wanted the pottage, and he said, just give it to me. And when he ended up giving it to him, Jacob decided to use that as leverage to be able to get birthright over his older brother Esau, simply because Esau was hungry. Have you made a bad decision while at the grocery store? You're buying something because you're hungry, but you know you're not supposed to be eating that type of food. See, anger can lead to bad choices and making a bad decision while being hungry. It was King Saul in 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 8, had a bad decision, which caused him to make some other bad decisions. And he went through a loop of making bad decisions. And he found himself trying to come out of these bad decisions, all because he was angry. Again, it's 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 8. Are you making bad decisions while being angry? You're mad at your wife or your husband or your friends or your kids, and you make bad decisions to get back at them. But if you was a clear-headed thinker, you wouldn't make those bad decisions because you wouldn't allow anger to dictate those decisions that you make. Number 3, the mouth is the tool of anger. You've heard me say on some of the other podcasts that women speak 20,000 words a day and men speak 7,000 words a day. Now just imagine if you're angry. You can imagine the women's words would go up a lot higher and the men's word would go up a lot higher. You see, a few words spoken in anger can destroy a relationship. That's what I said. A few words spoken in anger that can destroy a relationship that took years and decades to build. And I'm sure you know someone like that. You know, they just got angry and they couldn't control it. And they cussed their mama out, their daddy out, they cussed their brothers and sisters out, they talked about their kids, they just exploded. It was a volcano. That's what the subject is. Anger, the volcano of the soul. They just got it all out in an anger outburst. You see, it took years to build that relationship, but your mouth destroyed it in a few minutes. See, sometimes people use clamor, and that is to speak loudly. They cry out with demand. That's what clamor means. They yell and scream loudly, demanding things. See? So anger will cause you to cry out and speak loudly in public, at church. It doesn't matter where it's at. When you're angry and you don't know how to control it, then you just cry out and speak out loudly. That's clamor. Number 4, anger will cause you to disobey God. That's Jonah chapter 4, verse 1 through 11. Jonah had the wrong motive while preaching to the right people. Now just think about that. Jonah had the wrong motive while preaching to the right people, which simply means that he didn't want to preach to them. Remember when God told him to go over to Nineveh and to preach unto the people, but Jonah did not want to go. And the reason Jonah did not want to go because the Ninevites was cutting people's heads off and putting them on poles as for pole lights. They was peeling the skin off people and torturing them and brutalizing them. And Jonah said, I'm not going. And God told him to go. You see, God knows people's hearts. And when God told him to go, he knew they was ready. But Jonah said, what if they kill me? Jonah was even thinking, well, maybe they kill some of my relatives and I'm not going over there. So what did Jonah do? You know, he went down to Tarshish and got on a boat, you know, called himself going away from God, running from God. And you know the story, how, you know, the boat began to toss and the waves began and they ended up throwing them over into the sea. And he was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Then he finally came out. He still didn't want to go, but he finally went. And when he finally went, he was angry. He even said stuff like this here, you know, I know God is slow to mercy, is slow to anger and quick to mercy. He did not want those people to be saved. He wanted them to die, burn up, and go to hell. That's what he wanted because he was angry. He was angry. Are you that way? Are you holding anger for someone that you don't really want to be saved because you know if you give them a word, God would just touch their heart? Well, the story continued to go. By the time Jonah got there and began to preach, the king and all those vile people began to worship God. They began to turn everything around and worship God. And instead of Jonah being happy, you know what Jonah did? Jonah went out pouting and crying and angry and sat underneath a guard plant. And underneath that guard plant, he was mad at God because God saved them. He saved the heathens because God knew they was ready. See, God doesn't see as a man sees. God looks at man look on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. They was ready to be saved. And before Jonah could even get his words out, the people was accepting his God. They was bowing down. They was changing their ways, but they was angry. Jonah was angry because they was getting saved. Remember, as a leader, we have to make sure we have the right motive while preaching to the right people. And we must have the right motive even when we're preaching to the wrong people. That simply means that we have to control our anger. Okay, number 5, as a leader, you must always keep your anger in check. That's Numbers 20, verses 9 through 11. Moses took it personal as a leader. You see, you can't take it personal as a leader. Moses got mad at the people. God told Moses to go down, and he wanted Moses to speak to the rock. What did Moses do? He got angry, and he went down and smoked the rock. He hit the rock, but the rock still did what the rock was supposed to do. It brought forth water to be able to serve the children of Israel. But God wanted him just to speak to the rock, not smoke it, not hit it. And what ended up taking place in that, Moses got beside himself because he took it personal. As a leader, you cannot say the people made you angry. Let me say it again. As a leader, you cannot say the people made me angry. That's why I cussed them out in the pulpit. The people made me angry, so I have to let them know how I feel. The people made me angry, so they got to know that I'm human too. The people made me angry, so I'm going to tell them what I really think. See, you can't abuse God's people because you get angry. You can't make bad decisions because you get angry. Moses took it personal. As a leader, you cannot say the people made me angry, and being angry is a decision. No one makes you angry. You decided to be that way. You made a choice. You made a choice to cuss that person out. You made a choice to cuss your mama out. You made a choice to cuss your husband or your wife out. You made a decision to do it. No one made you do it. You decided to do it. Now you want to use what was said to you as an excuse so that you did it or you could do it. We have to be much more in control. Number 6, anger can stop you from receiving the promises of God. That's Numbers chapter 20, verse 12. It can stop you from receiving the promises of God. Maybe you should have had what you needed a long time ago, but God knows he can't trust you with it. Why? Because you stay angry. You're mad. And remember, anger is basically coming from a selfish motive. It's about me. It's not about the people. It's about me. You cannot serve in ministry when everything's about you. Or let's take that back. You can serve in ministry when everything's about you, but you will not be effective because people will begin to see who you really are. See, don't allow your anger to lash out at people. Don't allow your anger to keep God from blessing you, because you will not receive the promise if you're mad all the time. If you're selfish, uptight, you always got an issue with everybody. You seem to just be mad at the world. But what it really is, you're mad at yourself because you keep making the same old dumb decisions and you blame other people around you. So you have to learn to work through your anger. Okay? Number 7, the only way out of anger is to work your way through it. How do you work your way through your anger? Well, the first thing you need to do, I know what I do, is that when I start to feel anger, I ask myself this question, or a series of questions. Is this going to kill me? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to me? If most of the stuff that I may find myself getting frustrated over, or maybe you getting frustrated over, are stuff that are from 0 to 1, maybe 2. They're not even on the scale good. So you're getting mad over mosquito issues. Are you the person that turned a mosquito issue into an elephant simply because of your selfishness? You want it your way? So the only way you work through your anger is that first you got to understand your thoughts. Make sure your thoughts are clear. Then from your thoughts, examine your feeling. Why am I angry about this here? What emotion am I feeling now? What's up with me? Why am I always upset over dumb, stupid things? Why do I keep turning mosquitoes into elephants? You got to examine your thoughts, examine your feelings. Then you have to look at your behavior. What am I doing? Is this really worth it? Is it worth it to talk to people this way? Is it worth it to lash out? You're driving down the street and you get mad because somebody put a signal light on and they cut over in front of you and really 2-3 car lengths, and you mad because you didn't like how they pulled over. Now you're angry. Is it that you want the whole highway to yourself? You want a specific time where you can drive on the road by yourself and no one else is there but you? See, that's selfishness. You want what you want when you want it. And when you don't get what you want when you want it, you just throw a temper tantrum. And for adults, that's called anger. For adults, that can get you killed or get somebody else killed. So we have to make sure that we got our thoughts, our feeling, and our behavior. We have to gather our thoughts and control our thoughts. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 9 says, "Be not hasty in the spirit to be angry, for anger rested in the bosom of a fool." Have you gotten mad at something at work and you realize, man, that was dumb. I shouldn't have did that. Now you all by yourself looking crazy. Somebody have to come over and talk to you. Man, why you snap on everybody? You snapped on your boss. You snapped on everybody. Why? Because it's about you. You're super selfish. And since you're selfish, you want everybody to bow down to you. But anger rests in the bosom of a fool. Ephesians 4:31 says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice." See, anger is something you have to put away. It doesn't go away. You have to decide to put it away. So let's look at this here. Wrath is moving into rage, anger, and clamor. That's loud speaking, yelling loud, evil speaking. The word says you got to put it away. That's Ephesians 4:31. That means you got to put it away. When I was a child, I thought as a child, I spoke as a child. But when I became a man, I what? Put away childish things. Stop throwing adult temper tantrums. Let me put my glasses up to say that. You need to stop throwing adult temper tantrums. The root of anger comes from selfishness. And if you're always mad and upset, that's because the only person you spend most of your time with trying to impress is yourself. Stop having adult temper tantrum, which leads to murder, which leads to violence, which leads to going to jails and prison. You have to be able to control your anger. Okay, Colossians 3:8 says, "But now ye also put off all these, See, you have to put it off. It's like you taking off your coat. You have to put it off. They don't leave. You got to put them off. Put off anger, wrath, malice out of your mouth. In other words, stop speaking poison to people. Stop cussing everybody out. Now, you in church, you're a preacher. You're the church lady. You're in the choir. You're the deacon. You're a good congregant. You're a Christian, but you cussing folks out in church, not outside, in church. We know what you're doing outside, but you cussing people out in church. Well, they don't hear me. You still cussing. You're saying it in your heart. You're saying it underneath your breath. You go to the bathroom saying that so-and-so make me sick. You got all of these issues, but yet you think God's going to bless you with all these issues. You got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. That means you have to go in. You have to go into yourself, write a list down. What are some of my worst characteristics that I have? And what are some of these things I need to get rid of? And if you know that it's anger, you got to get rid of your anger. You got to get rid of your resentment. You got to get rid of your clamor, your loud talking, your all of this stuff that's not supposed to be that of a believer, nor of a kingdom citizens, nor of a Christian. These are things you have to do. You have to destroy them, because if you don't destroy them, they will destroy you. So I want to leave you with this here. As you have heard, you have to, number one, uncontrolled anger will lead to sin. Number two, anger is often the result of a bad decision. Stop making bad decisions and maybe you won't be as angry. Number three, your mouth is the tool for anger. Number four, anger will cause you to disobey God. It will cause you to disobey God. You know the right thing to do, but you won't do it. Number five, as leaders, you must always keep your anger in check. You can't be like Moses, taking it out on the rock and taking it out on people. Number six, anger can stop you from receiving the promises of God. It can stop you. Why? Because if God gave it to you, he'll just be enabling you to continue with your anger tantrums. See, number seven, the only way out of anger is to work through it, through your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. You have to ask yourself the question, why am I thinking this way? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I behave this way? And know this, no one makes you angry. No one bring anger out of you. When things doesn't go your way because you are super selfish, when things doesn't go your way, you become angry and you have these fits of rage because you want what you want when you want it. And when you don't get what you want when you want it, you throw an adult temper tantrum, or we call it, you go into rage and you mad and you pouty. And remember this, selfishness is the root cause for most inappropriate anger. Maybe you're just a big baby and you just want everything to be your way. That's what causes inappropriate anger. And with inappropriate anger, it can lead to addiction, it can lead to jails, it can lead to prisons, and it also can lead to death. So God would have me to tell you, get your anger in check. Remember, the word says, be angry. The verb be means your command, because anger is the volcano of your soul. Be angry, but don't sin. Sin not. Find ways to express your behavior without taking out all of your pain on someone else. I trust that you can believe it. I trust that you can receive it. And I trust that you will be able to gauge your anger without allowing your anger to gauge you and cause you more harm and more problems than you ever dreamed that you would have. There are many people doing life in prison simply because they could not manage their anger. So we want you to be able to manage your anger and do what Yeshua said, that we can be angry, but sin not. Don't let the sun go down on our wrath, and do not give place for the devil. Because when you're angry, you're giving place for the devil to come in and to destroy your life. I trust you can believe it and receive it. And I trust God that you would take this message and let it be a part of your life. God bless. Until next time.